Good afternoon. This is Jack Lee with KMSI. Today we will be talking about how to rapidly deploy e-learning and microlearning lessons using our new microlearning template that we've developed in conjunction with the release of KMx v12. We have a fairly small class today, so feel free to ask any questions in the chat room that you may have. And if you want to be unmuted, you can let me know in the chat room. We have two moderators available that can also help you if you run into any problems. AJ and Kira are also in the room as moderators. So if you run into issues, feel free to private message them or enter your question in the chat room. To get started, let's talk a little bit about why we developed the new tools that we're offering. A lot of our customers have a significant number of personnel that could be contributing to the library of content that organization has for bringing its employees up to speed, training them on new policies, new procedures, new tools, new technologies within the organization. One of the problems that they run into is that the authoring tools that they have are limited by the number of licenses that they hold. And on a lot of cases, these authoring tools can be quite expensive, upwards of $1,000 a year per license seat for some of the ones that are pretty popular out there on the marketplace. And that limits organizations' ability to distribute those licenses to all the people that could be contributing to an organization's library of content. In addition to the price, the learning curve associated with these products can be pretty steep. Now, they're very good products. There's nothing wrong with the products that we're displaying here on the screen. But the issue comes in when an organization needs to get content out quickly for just-in-time training, micro-learning, to get emergency policies or procedures or information out to the workforce, and not having either enough authors, enough authoring tools, or enough trained personnel in order to actually get the job done. So we thought that developing a tool that would solve those problems would be useful for our clients. Some of the goals of the development project that we undertook with this started with creating an authoring tool that could be used by unlimited authors at no expense, with no additional expense whatsoever. So what we wanted to do is build something that was highly scalable to where a company that had 300, 400, 500 people that could be contributing content wouldn't run into barriers with regard to their ability to scale the project or scale the development tools access for their employees. And again, trying to come up with a way to do that, we decided that we really needed to go with a cloud-based solution for this. Now, this can be installed behind the firewall at organizations that use our enterprise license product, but the initial goal was to get it out into the cloud. So that's where we're going to be demonstrating this today, is from the Microsoft data center, the Microsoft Azure data center cloud, where this installation that you're looking at is installed. We wanted to make the tool easy to learn and easy to use, and we'll talk a little bit about how we did that here in just a minute. We also wanted to ensure that the tool's output lessons were pure HTML5, that they weren't some hybrid technology. They weren't something that was going to erode with time, like a lot of people have seen with their e-learning programs, especially lately with the demise of ActiveX controls, with the demise of Flash, with the demise of so many technologies, because as the browsers evolved, they eliminated those technologies in favor of going to HTML5 as the standard. So we wanted something that would work properly on any contemporary device, that wouldn't cause our clients to have to re-author because of a technology issue, down the road. So that was one of the big goals. We wanted to provide the most requested features, but not try and compete with the desktop authoring tools that are out there on the market. Because obviously, if you have the tool installed on your desktop, there are things that you could do with that tool that would be very difficult to do on the cloud. So we took a look at those most requested features and tried to put together a product that could solve all the 99% issues without undue lesson complexity in the development process. And we also wanted to ensure full SCORM conformance for record keeping, audits, and progress management for the students, because that's important to all of our clients to be able to know, did they actually complete the course? How did they do? What was their score? Where did they leave off? How much time did it take them, et cetera? These are all issues we wanted to ensure were incorporated as we went forward with the product design. So in order to solve some of the ease of use issues and minimize the learning curve, we adopted the WordPress HTML5 web page development interface for basic entries. Now, this is actually a tool that we purchased as a company to make available to all of our clients back with KMx version 9, and implemented it in KMx version 10, not only for ad hoc web page development, so our clients could create ad hoc web pages for their site. They could create notifications or other things for their site using a WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get, HTML5 editor. But we also use it for email development as a merge utility with the database. So this enables our customers to create constant contact like emails for their users that have graphics and fancy text and really nice clean formatting that'll run on any device, whether it be a mobile device, a desktop device, a handheld, tablet, etc. The micro and e-learning features then were put on top of this existing WordPress HTML5 web page editor. We also added all the SCORM functions to this popular interface. So you're working with an interface that's well adopted in the industry, and we've added functions to an interface that is pretty easy to learn and use, and it's been around for quite a while. We also wanted to make sure that we supported that Americans with Disabilities Act and added disability support features like WebVTT, which allows you to have transcripts associated with your audios and videos that you put out on your content. So these are the kind of things that we wanted to make sure that our clients were able to do, because it's a big issue with a lot of our clients to meet these disability standards and to provide the kind of training to their employees regardless of the disabilities they may have. We also wanted to add things like a graphic hotspot editor to allow for simplified navigation so that people could click on a part of a graphic, maybe it's a knob, a switch, a button, and move forward in a navigation path or go to a remediation path with unlimited branching logic that would make it very easy for an author to create a micro or mini type simulation or process simulation for the users on the tool. Now, HTML5 is important because many of the authoring tools out there have evolved from earlier standards like AICC, from earlier technologies like Flash and ActiveX controls, things like this, and from older technologies like Windows Media that are now eclipsed by current browser technologies and are no longer supported. So by using the HTML5 as the baseline for our product and everything that would come out of the product, it allows the product to have a long life cycle for the output, the lessons that are developed, and it also allows the display to be consistent, independent of the user interface. So whether you're using a tablet, a handheld, or a desktop, you can get a consistent display, consistent scaling, consistent interaction with the lesson interface that you design, irregardless of what the user's accessing it with. Now, the Hotspot editor also allows you to apply shapes. It allows you to crop your images. It allows you to make it so that your text will wrap around the hotspot or the cropped image or the shaped image, and gives you the ability to have unlimited branching navigation. So you could, label different parts of an image with hotspots, or just place the hotspots over them and ask the students to click on them. and then branch within the lesson to the information associated with that click, with the thing that they clicked on. But you could also use it to ask a student to click the thing that is the next step, or maybe to identify something within an image that you have on the screen, so that you can make sure that they understand the concepts that you're putting out there. And these all are able to be done in conjunction with other tools and technologies, like setting timeouts associated with user interaction or automatic advance, things like that you would normally get from your higher end authoring tools. We also wanted to be able to support full web-based process simulations by using all the features I just discussed to allow context-sensitive remediation. So instead of you went to the wrong answer type of response, you could actually navigate to something that was context-sensitive to tell the student, if it was wrong, why it was wrong, or provide an alternate path for continuation. So pretty much any process simulation you can imagine, by using this kind of navigation with hotspot navigation return links in your authoring process, gives you the ability to create very complex tutorials, even if you're a novice developer. And by adding things like audio and video and other animation type features to your lesson, you can get a pretty realistic effect. In the process, we also wanted to promote the use of media, because a lot of the authors out there today are used to working with audio. They're used to working with video. They like to have hyperlinks, hot links that bring up additional information or expanded information on a subject. They like to be able to link to references that are available if somebody wants to learn a little bit more about whatever it is the subject is that you're teaching. So all of these things now are included in this development tool to allow for images, audio, video, your audio and video transcripts, embedded reference documents, and even links to things like YouTube or social media elements are all now part of the basic interface that you would work with. And once you learn the controls on the screen, which are fairly simple if you've ever worked with a HTML5 interface, an HTML5 editor interface, or a WordPress interface. For those of you that are familiar with WordPress, it is the identical authoring environment as WordPress. We just have edited it, adopted it, and made it better. So these are the kinds of things that hopefully promoting the use of media will allow more exciting and more compelling courseware to come out the other end. We also, again, wanted to ensure SCORM compliance, and all the standard elements are supported, including things like completion status, tracking session and total time, bookmarking of students so they can return to where they left off. And in our original concept, we intended this to be for short form microlearning courses, but then we learned very quickly that there really wasn't any limit to how long a course could be using this approach, and that the courses would be relatively tight and compact irregardless. So again, you can have as many screens in one of these lessons as you want, and make it a full-blown e-learning course if that's what's needed. We also allowed the full SCORM runtime environment, or RTE, to be accessible to the author in what we call code view mode. So you can directly access the SCORM API. For those of you that are advanced e-learning developers and you want to set some kind of CMI interaction or CMI objective, you want to set some kind of progress check or progress mark within the course where it's been achieved. These things are all accessible in what's called code view mode within the e-learning development tools. Oops. The last thing that we added was the ability to import Microsoft PowerPoint. Now, KMx already has the ability to import Microsoft PowerPoints into the product for use as e-learning, but we wanted to expand that capability to allow those imports to also be edited, annotated, and added to using this new tool. So you import your PowerPoint slide deck just like you always did within KMx. But with this new tool, you're allowed to add hotspots to your screens. You can add audio, video, text, and other elements to enhance the lesson. and make it more engaging, make it more interactive, have some, really good branching and sequencing within your lesson to make it more engaging for your students. So again, the Microsoft PowerPoint import capability was something that we thought would be important for our customers that like to use PowerPoint or have a significant number of PowerPoints, or use PowerPoints in their instructor-led lessons and then would like to migrate them to an on-demand or micro-learning format so that they can be consumed by people that can't make the live event. So why don't we do a quick demonstration here, give everybody a chance to see what we're talking about. And in order to do that, I'm going to share my screen. And again, this is being recorded. We're also live streaming this on YouTube as we speak. So, if that screen that you're getting is a little small for you to read, you can use the little 4 arrow, the 4 arrows pointing out diagonally above the display of my screen to enlarge that. It might make it a little easier for you to read. This is actually a microlearning template that we have up in front of you right now, as long as you're seeing my screen. And within this template, you've got at the top all the controls that are necessary to add bolded, italic, and underlined text, format paragraphs, set font sizes. On that next row is where you get your media elements, where you can add things like hot links, hyperlinks. You can add images, you can add video, audio, add documents, format tables or reports within the lesson itself. So all of the tools are fairly self-explanatory, and when you hover over it, it will tell you exactly what it is that you're hovering over. You've got a pretty good set of basic instructions here for the novice to get started to use it. Above that, you have a series of navigation controls that you can turn on and off, and a screen counter that also can be turned on and off. It can also be turned off on and off by screen. So these are things that the author can control. And then you have a default completion slide. So if you want to give the end user credit for completing it on slide 1, you could put a 1 in there. If you wanted them to get through the entire lesson, just leave it slide 0, and the system will calculate that when they get to the final slide, whatever the final slide is, that they're going to be given a completed status for that lesson. Underneath that, you've got your first slide, and it says slide title, add text, images, and other elements. Off to the right, you get the ability to control your background. So we can set things like a gradient. If we wanted to set something that was, some kind of pretty gradient, it gives you a preview of the gradient that you've selected. And you can then click this little box to apply the gradient to the screen. And you can see the gradient has now been applied to that slide. Now we can also apply background images to the slide. You can change your background image. That's what this is. It's a little bubble background image. I'll apply it. It'll be easier to see. You can see the little bubbles showing up here. And you can also change this by simply clicking on it and replacing that by using the replace option and putting whatever background image you want on your slide. Now, the background images can be done in conjunction with the gradients. That can create a very neat effect where you've got a gradient with a background image that's semi-transparent or transparent, in front of it. These are all things that you can play with using the tool. As you might have noticed, the navigation buttons followed whatever we did with regard to the gradient. So if I change that to a top-bottom gradient, okay, now it goes from top to bottom. Or I could make it a center-out gradient, and it goes from center out. And again, the navigation buttons are going to follow whatever you do for the slides to give you some consistency. Now, these button labels are all also editable. So if I don't want to call my homepage, I want to call it top, I can just go in there, edit it, and change whatever words that I have. I can do the same thing with my forward and back buttons and change their labels as well. This can also be adapted to your site language pack if you're using various languages within your site and you want it to automatically translate to Chinese or Portuguese or French, the language pack can be used in conjunction with all of the labels that we have on the screen. So these are all, easy to use, features that are available to an author to make their courseware more accessible and more engaging. Over here on the bottom right, you see we have slide options, and the slide options give you the slide number as a slide reference, number 1 in this case. And if you go look at the instructions up here, everything is going to be referenced to the slide number. By numbering the slides, it makes it very easy to branch to that slide. We're going to slide number 3 or slide number 4, or maybe we're going to go back to whatever the slide we came from was. And then maybe we went from 1 to 2 and we want to go back to 1. Well, that would be back to 1. But what if we jump from slide number 2 to our remediation slide of slide number 16? We don't want to go back to slide 15. We want to go back to slide 2 by using the back. So the back feature lets you go to the slide that got you there, to the slide that you were on before you got to the slide that you're currently on. So these are all things that you can experiment with to learn how to use the system. You can set any slide to auto advance or to time out. So if you want to give a student 30 seconds to click something, you can set an auto advance, in seconds to cause that to happen. Maybe you want something to time out if the student doesn't do it in a certain amount of time. Or maybe you want to set an animation where you're building upon one slide to the next, and you want the student to progress through it at a steady rate, okay? These can all be done with the auto advance feature in conjunction with or in lieu of displaying the navigation. By clicking this button that says display navigation, we turn these navigation options at the top on or off, green being on, red being off. You can do this independently for every slide, or you could do it for all slides. It's up to the author how they want to control the navigation within their course. We can also add slides, either above, below, or delete the slide that we're currently on. So if I add a slide below, that new slide is now slide number 2. If I were to add one above, it would renumber all these slides from 1 to 3. But just to get the basic concept down of how to add slides, that's how you would add a slide, either above or below. And if you added the slide in error, you can always delete the slide. So it's a very simple thing to be able to make these kind of changes. So when we get into actually using the tool, one of the things that I like to do is to show people how to add different elements. So if I would like to add a table, for example, that has 2 cells, and within the first cell of the table, maybe I would like to insert an image. I can go out to my computer. I can find an image that suits my needs. And we'll go to this one, and we'll go to use the Keurig and pick an image. So if I add that image to my presentation, the image will upload, and it'll size, based on what size is available for it to, consume. I can scale that image however I need to. And then in the other cell, maybe I want to put some text. So for example, maybe we've got an introduction that we want the student user to listen to. Introduction. And maybe we want them to start brewing coffee with our new coffee maker lesson that we're trying to build. Okay, so those are things that are easy to add. I just typed them in, but we can also change the way they look. Maybe I want that font size to be bigger. Maybe I want the color to be different. Maybe I want to use my style sheet, formatting, to make the text bigger or smaller. I'll go ahead and use style sheet formatting. And let's say that we want our introduction to link. So I'll use the insert link option to slide number 2, which we haven't actually put in here yet, but that's where I'm going to send it. And then maybe I want my start brewing to go to slide number 3. It's very simply just click the link and put in number 3. And that's really all you have to do in order to create navigation within the lesson using hyperlinks. Now, I can also change the colors there to make that a little better. So I'm going to change that to a black background, and I'm going to add a slide below. Okay, so here's my new slide. Here's the slide that I just started working on. I'm going to delete the word slide title there, and I'm going to delete this text here that it adds called add text and images. And then this next slide that we've got, I'm going to use the words welcome. I could also include variables in this that would include like the student's name, because the system does know this information. And just like our email templates, you could put in one of the system variables like member, I've got to type it right, member name. And then the system will say welcome member name to the currently logged in user when they access the course. So these are the kinds of things that you can do. We kept all the mail merge variables available so that clients could use those variables within their lessons. Now, this next screen, I'm going to go ahead and insert another table. And in this one, I'm going to add a video. You could add a YouTube video, you could upload a video. In this case, I'm just going to upload a video. You can also host social media videos, from different social media sites that are available. So now we've added a video. I could actually add the VTT text to this video at this time. I'm not going to go through all that right this minute. But if at the time that you want to incorporate the video, you've got the narration associated with the video available, you can tie that VTT text in right here. Now from here, all we can do is get them to go to start brewing. It would be our next option. So I'm going to go ahead and put another link on the screen, and we're going to take that to number 3. Which will be our next slide to start brewing. And I'm also going to make it a nice big, happy link so it's easy to see, and I'll change its color as well. Okay, so when I get done, I can go back through and I can, normalize all the background images across all of the different slides. And these white lines that you see go away at runtime. They're just there to help you understand what elements you have on the screen. They're there, just kind of as a guide, so that you get everything all lined up, and so that it looks really nice. So now we've got a video, and we can go to start brewing. I'm going to add one more slide below, real quick, and on this one, we're not going to have a title. I'm going to go ahead and add an image. We'll go ahead and add the same image just for right now. I'm going to scale that image down a little bit. And then on this one, instead of having a bunch of text on the screen, I'm going to add some audio to the screen that gives the user instructions on what to do. And as you see, there's 8 pre-recorded audio files. You can use your Windows audio recorder from your desktop, or any MPEG-3 audio, or any basic, any audio that will play over the internet will basically work with this product. And if you need to test that audio, you can actually play it.
First step to operate the Keurig.
I'm sure AJ will recognize his voice there. Okay, so that's nice. And what this audio is going to say is the first thing to do is check the water level of this thing. And if they get the water level right, I'm going to add a slide below. We're going to take, excuse me, I added one above. Let's go ahead and delete that slide. I will add a slide below. We're going to be able to take them to the next screen. But let's say that we want to remediate them if they click the wrong thing. So these are the kind of things you might want to think about in advance when you're building your lesson. And it's always a good idea from time to time to just save your lesson so that you get it just in case you accidentally close your browser or something, you don't lose it. I save it after every major element that I add. And then you can click on that with the control button, and it brings up the Hotspot Editor. Within the Hotspot Editor, you can apply shapes. So I could also crop something. So if I want to make something shaped into a circle and have text wrap around that circle, I can use the circle or the octagon. There's lots of different shapes. I'm going to leave the circle because I think that one looks pretty cool for this one. And if I want to reset all that, all I have to do is show the crop tool. And the crop picture tool allows you to reset it to a square, and it would allow you to crop your image simply by placing the little red box, where you want the image to be. So I could do that like that. Okay, I'm not going to crop this picture at this point. I just wanted to show you how the crop tool works. We'll go ahead and set that out. What I'm going to do is send it back to the circle, and now I'm going to add a hotspot to it. I hit the Add Hotspot button. It brought up a hotspot for me to place and position. I'm going to place it over the water tank because it's what we want the student to click on in this one. And in this instance, we're going to take that user to slide number 4 within our lesson. But we also want to do something if they click on the wrong thing in this case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another hotspot over the rest of it. And I can take them to a remediation slide, or I could take them to a slide that says you clicked on the coffee cup or you clicked on the handle. You can take them pretty much wherever you want. I'm just trying to give you a basic example of how this would work. And just for now, we'll call that slide number 10 will be our remediation slide. And then when I hit update, that saves the data, and done brings us back to where we are. You can't see the hotspot on the screen, and right now you can't see the rounded image because we don't have a background applied. If I go back up to the top and I reapply our background that we so patiently worked on to our slide, you'll see that it is rounded and everything's been shaped and everything kind of fits together, and it looks like a nice little unit. So these are some of the basic features that you would have within this tool that allow you to develop e-learning courseware that includes audio and video, includes hotspots, etc. And when you're all done, it doesn't matter really how long your lesson is, you're going to want to save that. And then within KMx, you can actually go out and play that course. Now, this course that I have been working with is actually available for you to take in the catalog. So if you go to the course catalog on the KMx Direct site that you logged in on, and you go to the KMx Courses and Tutorials catalog, there's a course called KMx Microlearning Example or Microlearning Example. Go ahead and select that course, and it will give you this course that we're looking at here and walk you through what the end result of that course would be. I'm going to go ahead and bring that up here, just so you can kind of get an idea of what this thing would look like when we're all done. I'm going to go ahead and save and close my window to exit this. And that will bring you back to our slide deck as I go out and get the lesson that we want to look at. Let's see, it's a micro-learning example. Okay, now let's see, I'll reshare my screen for you all so you can see what I'm looking at. Okay, so this is that same course with pretty much the same gradient applied to it that we were building just a minute ago, that allows you to go through and actually use the course material. So if I wanted to play the introduction, the video starts playing, and then they can watch that, or they can continue forward to start brewing.
The Keurig 55 coffee maker is to make sure the unit is plugged in.
So on this one, the audio plays, and then the student is prompted to click on the right thing, which in this case would be the water tank. They click on the water tank, the audio continues and tells them what the next step is. Now, if the student clicks on the wrong selection, you can take them to a remediation screen. Now, this one we have a very simple, your selection is incorrect remediation, but it could be as complex as you want. or it could be a branch if you want to have complex branching within your lesson. There's no limits to how many branches you could take within a lesson. You might want to kind of think through your branches before you get started, just so you don't get yourself lost in your development. But again, we didn't make any arbitrary limits as to how many branches you could take within any particular screen. We've just left it unlimited. And then this would be an example of the back feature, where we're going back to where we started. The audio continues, and under this one, it's asking us to click the power button. So I think you get an idea how you could create a very simple micro-learning lesson. This is a process tutorial on something that we all know real well, how to use a Keurig coffee maker. Most of us probably have them in the office. They can be done either independently, standalone, as a micro-learning lesson, as something that you send out as a link to your employees that they could click on and navigate directly to within the KMx environment, or you could augment it and add an exam to it if you wanted to have an exam that went along with it, so that the students could prove that they actually learned something from it. This one happens to be a timed exam. These are all options that you have within this environment. And this thing is bookmarking, obviously, and is completely tied into the KMx course outliner. So with that, I'm going to take a break on the screen sharing for a second. You can go take that course on your own on KMx Direct anytime you want. It's available, as well as many other courses that we've got out there on these same and similar subjects. And let's do a quick wrap up of what we've learned so far with regard to the product. Number one, we've tried to make this extremely easy to use and not make it so that it's limited in the number of authors. So you don't have to buy a license for every author that you have. There's no $1,000 per year per author fee associated with this. In fact, we're giving it away free to all our customers. Every one of our customers, when they upgrade to version 12, will get this for free, and they can have as many authors as they want. There's no limit to scalability. And they can even have user-supported training this way. If a customer wants to allow their user community or their employee community to contribute to the training library by learning this tool, there's no reason not to, because there's no cost associated with it. It's fully SCORM conformant. It's pretty feature packed, so you can have a broad range of style, navigation options. You can have pretty much anything you want to do with your background as far as imagery or gradients or highlights, things like that. It's completely HTML5 based and gives you that broad compatibility with your tablets, your cell phones, your desktop browsers, without the worry of it going legacy like Flash and Windows Media and ActiveX and these technologies that have died along the way as Microsoft and Chrome have abandoned them. There's no bulky authoring tool associated with this. It's extremely lightweight. There's no runtime files needed to actually execute the lesson. When the lesson's written, it's written in HTML5 by the system, and there's no big runtime files that have to download onto your end user's machine before they can take it. There's no download to start authoring with it either. Okay, so that just gets rid of a lot of overhead associated with general authoring tools that are out there on the market. And this gives you your fast start times, your fast load times, and it really takes the demands off the end user's device. I think a lot of customers will develop courseware that has automatic timing sequences or has hotspot sequences, hot navigation sequences. And then they'll find out that the handheld and the phone devices may not have the horsepower necessary to actually use all of the technology they've built into their lesson. Well, we eliminated all that worry with this approach because everything's running in HTML5 and it has really no demands on the device. The device is simply executing a web page from its perspective. So that just eliminates a lot of the headache associated with fielding this to handhelds and tablets. There's really no requirement to download or upload a SCORM package during your initial development, testing, or future edits or revisions. We tried to keep this simple. Yeah, so you're not developing it on your desktop, uploading it to your LMS. Oh, it didn't work, or oh, I got to make a change, downloading it, changing it, repackaging it, sending it back up. No, none of that is necessary. Although we will, make it so that you can get a SCORM package out of the system with the lessons. That's one of the enhancements we're putting in 12.1 to package this up, so you can export it as a SCORM package and use it, in another LMS, or provide it to maybe one of your suppliers or one of your vendors, because they're, they need it in their system. So these are things that we will be working towards. It's also, again, like I said, free for all our KMSI customers. So we're not trying to sell anybody anything. What we're really trying to do is promote an alternative way to develop microlearning, to develop e-learning, that allows our customers to have broader control, broader access with an easy to use tool that literally costs them nothing to adopt. So with that, I'm going to stop and see if there's any questions out there. We have been recording this. We've gone our 40 minutes as promised. And we've also live streamed this on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So we've got other people out there that aren't in the room right now that are watching it. I haven't gone and taken a peek to see how many, but we had 13 waiting on YouTube and a couple others waiting on LinkedIn. I didn't look at Facebook or Twitter, but just to give you an idea, we're trying to disseminate this information as broadly as possible. So if you've got any questions, now would be a great time to put them in the chat room. If you'd like to speak, just put in the chat room that you would like to be unlocked. I'll unlock you. There's not so many of us here that we can't have a conversation, if a conversation is warranted. And with that, I'll leave it up to you to ask any questions. Okay. Well, that's one quiet audience so far. I'm glad you could all join. It's good to see Steve and Curtis and Kira and AJ here in the room. We've got a recording of this now that we can use to promote the use of the tool to our customers. There's really nothing here to sell because it's already free. So I'm sure the salespeople will be disappointed that there's not a new product to sell. But this is something that we felt strongly about. We wanted to get out there, and we wanted to make cost. We didn't want cost to be a reason for clients not to adopt it. I see AJ is typing a note, so I will wait for AJ to finish typing. Thank you, AJ. I think we've come a long way, and I certainly appreciate your help in getting the documentation squared away so that we can get this fielded to our clients. And I'm really excited to get some feedback from you and the rest of your team as our clients start to try to adopt it and start using it and find ways that we can improve the product down the road. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the recording and wrap up the event. And I thank you again. And this lesson will be available for replay sometime tomorrow if you're interested. Thank you and have a great afternoon.